Okay, everybody, welcome. Good to see you all again. We're going to do our sort of our Case 2.0 training. We've had Case out there in the field for quite a while now, and there have been some changes that have come along the way since we first released it over the summer. And we just kind of want to catch you guys up on that stuff and some things we've been noticing that we'd like to bring to your attention. If you guys have any questions at all, please throw them in the chat. I'm going to try and get through the things I want to cover up front, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So just hold your questions to the end, just throw them in the chat, and we'll get to them then. Okay, great. So can everybody see my screen okay? Any thumbs up out there?
Yes.
We got you.
Perfect, awesome, great. So this is our, I'm logged in as our demo central school district technician, Joseph Tech. And this is his service agent workspace. And in here, I have several cases open at different stages in the life cycle of a case. So the very first stage is the creation of a ticket. So what a ticket would look like when it first comes in to an agent. And the agent can create a ticket, clicking the plus button at the top here, clicking new case, and that'll open up a form like this. But lots of times, the customer will go to the portal, and they'll be clicking create new ticket here, and which will generate a case and send it into to the team. So the main things to be aware of when you're creating cases is the caller, of course, is the customer, the person who needs the item or request or has a problem or issue. There are situations where as NERIC technicians, we do things on behalf of districts, and we don't necessarily have a human being that, asked us to do that. So we may not have a caller, or a caller may not be in the system yet. So in those situations, I would say put yourself as the caller and just make sure you change the district to whatever district you're working for at that moment. That'll help with reporting. And also make sure that agents in the district can see the ticket too, because we have company separation in place, which prevents district agents from seeing tickets that are not for their district. Going down the line, service is another important key point here. Oh, and just something I wanted to point out too. You don't need to take any notes here. We've got extensive documentation on everything I'm covering here, and then some, which we'll be sharing when we release the video. Also, this will be recorded. So just sit along, go along for the ride. I'm jumping through my stuff. I'm just highlighting the things that I think are most important to cover. This is a ton of stuff, a ton of material here. So going back into it, service and service offering are very important when you're filling out a ticket. That's the primary way a ticket's going to be routed to the right team, especially if you don't know what the team is. If you're trying to send a ticket to the local district IT team of a managed IT district, like so Capital Region BOCES is a managed IT district. We have our CRB IT team. Maybe you need a keyboard replaced for yourself, or a new laptop, or something's wrong with Word or Excel or whatever, right? I see a lot of people out there throwing in a service of other. Well, that's not going to get it to them. What it's going to do, it's going to send it to us, the ServiceNow team. If you want to get it to the CRB IT team, you should pick a service of district-specific services. And then what the system's going to do is going to say, okay, you're from Capital Region BOCES, you have a service of district-specific services. It's going to auto-assign it to the CRB IT team. And just like it did here, demo central school district, the caller picked that service, and it went to the demo staff IT team. Okay, but for any other service that's provided by any other team, there's going to be a specific service in the list that you can search for, like ServiceNow or anything else. It should come up with a list like that. You can also hit the search box, and the full list is in there. Okay, so we'll go back to that. Put that in here. Okay, let's see what else. So once you have that, everybody knows how to put short description in. The point of this is to get as much initial detail in the ticket so that when the agent who ultimately receives it, they can hopefully solve the problem with the information that's in the ticket. They don't have to do too much back and forth with the customer. Okay, so all right, so that's the creation of a case. Now, once that case is created and it lands in a Teams queue, and it's unassigned, right? So an agent opens it up, they have the option to assign to me, right? That they can do it two ways, right? They can put their name in here, you know, Joseph could go in here like this. But what's going to happen is if you do it this way and hit save, what you're going to have to do first before you do any work is accept the case, okay? But if you don't do it that way, actually the easier way to do it is just come up to assign to me. What that's going to do is going to populate your name in the assign to, and now you can get right to work. Okay, so that's the first little shortcut. All right, and that is it for the creation of a case. Right, there's 5 stages. Stage 1 is creation. Second stage is assignment. We kind of went over that a little bit. The assignment is covered by the services, the district, and you know what value is here for the assignment group and the assigned to. A couple of things I want to point out about that with regard to notifications. If your assignment group, a lot of teams out there have shared mailboxes. If your assignment group is currently configured with the shared mailbox, then the notifications for new emails regarding tickets is just going to go to that shared mailbox. It's not going to go to individual agents. So if you wanted to go to individual agents, we need to remove that shared mailbox from the assignment group itself. So just something to be aware of. I think we've pretty much got that all worked out amongst the teams. So, but if you feel your team wants to change their behavior or whatever, just reach out to us and we'll help you through that. Okay. So some other things with regard to assignment. If a caller, if no service or offering is selected and there's no assignment group tied to a ticket, what the system is going to do is going to try to, what it's going to do is basically going to assign it to the ServiceNow team. Okay. If there is a service and an offering and no assignment group, it's going to go based on the assignment group tied to the offering. If there's just a service, right, and no offering, it's going to go to the assignment group based on the service. All right. So again, just something to be aware of. This is really important that you try to put a service and service offering in. Okay, cool. All right, so that's it for assignment. Work in progress. Okay, so at this point, the agent has accepted the ticket, right? And they're ready to begin work on it. It's been assigned to them. So throughout the work you do on the ticket, you're going to be communicating with the customer, maybe with other agents, maybe just putting in notes and things on your own, possibly contacting vendors, and there's a few different ways to do that. Okay, so first off is comments. Okay, comments are meant primarily for conversations between the customer and the agent assigned to the case. Okay. Other people who will see comments are anybody who's on the watch list or the work notes list. Okay. If you want, so watch list members are generally non-agents. Okay. And work notes list members are generally agents, other agents who are in the system. That's who that's the distinction you should keep in your mind between those kinds of things. You do not need to be on, and nor should you be on both. And if you are the caller or the agent assigned to the case, you don't need to be on either of them. You're going to get notified the same as they would. Okay, so really this is just for third parties that need to be aware of what's going on in the ticket on some level. All right, so that was comments. Comments are customer visible, so be careful what you put in there. Work notes are internal, meaning they're visible only to agents. Again, so any comment, any work note that you put in, you'll of course see in the activity stream, but anybody on the work notes list would also be copied on that work note. Okay. If you would like to call out an agent in a particular note, you can do that just by clicking at and then start typing their name, and it'll come up in the list. Just select them from the list. When they're blue like that, that's how you know you've added them correctly, and then you just type your message after it. All right, and all it does is just in the work note, it's just indicating to the reader that this was intended for Jane. Okay, they're not going to get any special notification or anything like that. They're going to get the normal work note notification because she was on the work notes list. Okay. All right, cool. Emails. Emails are very popular. All right, so if you come up to this ellipsis here, there's the compose email section of the ticket. Okay. Now, by default, it's going to assume you want to email the caller, and it's going to copy yourself as the agent. But we really would like to encourage people to use the comments feature if you're going to be communicating with customers, just because it makes sure everything stays within the ticket. Like any emails you create with the compose email feature will get attached to the ticket in the activity stream, but the customer is only going to see that in the form of an email in their inbox, in their email inbox. If they come to the portal, they're not going to see that email message in the activity stream of the ticket in the portal. Okay, so if you want to have that record in case they're using the portal or they're flip-flopping back and forth, stick with comments. Okay, the emails really should be used primarily for communication with third parties, like usually people outside of ServiceNow. So like a vendor contact or somebody who doesn't have an account in the system, and you want to loop them in on the conversation. Doesn't mean you can't copy other people on it. It's just something to be aware of, that emails are really only going to be viewable like to agents in the activity stream. They're not going to be viewable in the portal. All right. Okay, got that. The needs attention flag. Let me give you a little demo of that too. So we have this needs attention flag on a ticket. And basically, whenever anyone other than the assigned agent makes a change to the ticket, this flag is going to get checked. And that's basically the agent's primary way of knowing that something new has happened with the ticket, and they need to come back to the case and have a look. All right, and just to show you how that works, I have our caller open in a separate window here, and let's go to that ticket. 5048. Send that in. And just watch that needs attention flag when I send this. Okay, so if you're actually in the ticket at the time that this happens, it's going to show you that due to caller modified the field. It's going to do that for any field, so that's a good way of knowing that something's changed. But in order for this to continue working, so when you come back into the case record, the first thing you want to do is acknowledge that needs attention flag. So you're going to uncheck it and save your record. And now that clears it, so that if anybody else makes another change later on, it'll fire again. Okay. And you can put your work note in. I usually put a work note in saying what that I saw it, or I'm replying to the customer, or whatever I did. To just indicate that I did review that note. Okay, so that needs attention flag. Okay, so a lot of agents have come to us in the last few months saying, I hate cases that I can't control the state. Okay, so but there are ways you can kind of force a ticket into certain states. So before it's assigned to an agent, it's in the new state. When you're working on it, when you've accepted it, it goes into the open state. But there are ways to put tickets on hold, so to speak. Okay, and I'll show that here. They're called blockers. You can add blockers to the ticket. There's several different ways to do that. The first blocker is the request info blocker. And when you click basically what you do is you type a comment. And this is directed at the customer. You can only use the request info button with the customer. Okay, so say I need more information. You basically give them a comment indicating what you need, right? And then you click request info. And when you do that, the case will turn into an awaiting info state. Okay, so it's kind of like you hit the pause button on your CD player or something like that. Okay, it's not closed, it's on hold. So and you notice that the button's changed here. So now it's asking you to reopen the case. That's because it's kind of like in the soft close state. It's basically back in the customer's queue, right? So if we go back to this is 5049. Go back to the home. There you go. All right, so see, so she opened it up and it says this case requires additional information from you. It's letting her know that there was more info required. And there's the comment. So basically all she needs to do is just come here and type a reply. Okay, and now you see that the case changed back to an open state. And the needs attention flag got fired because there's a new comment in there. You can just acknowledge that we got the information and we can continue working on the case. Right? So that's the first blocker. The second blocker is adding a subtask. This is the second category of blocker, is adding a subtask. There's three different ones you can add to a case. Okay. The first one is by adding a request. So you can create a request off of the case. And basically just come up to the ellipsis again. It's going to open it's going to open up the service workspace portal, which is basically the service catalog that we have out there. And you would pick the appropriate catalog item that you want to associate with the case. And you just click accordingly, and you just fill out the form like you normally would if you did a case directly. Some things to keep in mind with this is the requested for is kind of key. So if the recipient of whatever you're requesting is going to be the caller, you probably want to put them in as the requested for. If it asks you for a requested for, this one doesn't. Excuse me. But if it's something that you need so that you can complete the case, so maybe you're asking for something from another team, then you would put yourself as the requested for. Okay, just a little distinction there. So we're going to cancel this. Okay, all right. So we're not going to do that request. The other subtask you can do is an incident, and that does not appear to be here at the moment, which is kind of interesting. But you would do that basically the same way. There's usually a create incident here. I don't know why it's not there right now. And that would, you basically open up an incident form and you can associate that to a case record. You can, oh, actually, I know why, because earlier today, let me just switch to a different, I'll switch to a different record. Earlier today, I associated an incident with this case. That's why. There we go. So that's create incident. So you create incident, opens up an incident form. You fill that out as you normally would. Now, this is associated with the case, but it's kind of it's a standalone record, right? And incidents are supposed to be kind of internal records used for things that are broken, right? That's the general idea. So here again, you don't necessarily need to have the caller be the caller on the incident record. If you're reporting an incident to an internal team, right, something they need to correct, you could put yourself as the caller. And then if they have any, you'll be the point person, and then you can decide what the caller should, receive in terms of information. And you can do that through comments on the case at the case level. All right, so you're the manager of the whole interaction. You're their direct point of contact. All right, so you don't necessarily have to have it be directly to the customer, especially if it's not something they're aware of. Maybe they have no clue that a server is down or anything like that. They don't need to know. They just know that they can't log into an application. Well, then you probably should just keep that conversation between you and the internal agents. Okay. This. All right, and then the third way, I think, is actually the best way to add a blocker on a case is to use case tasks. Okay, so this is kind of a new record for people. We've been using it a lot on our team. And basically, these are very simple mini tickets, right? So you come to related records, you go to tasks, you click new. And you'll notice immediately on the form, there's really not much here, right? You don't see a caller, you don't see a created by, open by. It's just assuming that this is for you, the agent who is assigned to the case, right? So you're going to create the subject is basically a brief statement about what you need done, okay? In a description, you can go into more detail about that, and then you're going to assign it to the group that needs to do it, okay? If you're the one that's going to do it, you just make it your assignment group, you assign it to yourself, you throw it in there. You can put a due date on it if you like, just like you can with other records. You can add other agents to the work notes list so they're aware that this thing is being done, that maybe they need to do something and they got to wait for this particular task to get done first. So this is a really cool way to break down cases into subordinate tasks. And then you can kind of keep track of all the individual tasks. And then when a customer calls and says, hey, what's the status on my case? You can go back and look at your blockers and say, well, okay, well, the following's been done, but we're waiting on this, this, and this, we're expecting that in this day, And again, these are internal records, right? They're only between you and other agents. So the customers never see tasks, these case tasks. You have complete control over the information that the customer receives, because you're the one, you're going to be putting a note into your case record saying, such and such was done at such time, if they even need to get that information. All right. So, and you see here, I have a couple in here already on the list, and I have one that's assigned to the demo staff IT team and one to the ServiceNow team. Okay, and those basically will prevent the case from being closed, and it's basically in an on-hold state until these items are resolved. Okay, so that's it for work in progress. All right. So resolution. So once everything's been done on a case, you feel that as an agent you've done all the work you possibly can. Even if you don't have a resolution, maybe you couldn't fix the problem, but or maybe it's not something NERIC does. Maybe it has to go directly to a vendor or whatever. You basically said, I'm done. There's nothing more I can do on this. You can propose a resolution to the customer. Okay, and the way to do that is you come down to the resolution information section, and you're going to pick a resolution code. And we've pared this down quite a bit from what we used to have, a year ago. So basically, it's resolved by agent, meaning you did some work to resolve the issue. Resolved by caller, meaning they took care of it themselves, or they don't need the ticket open anymore or whatever. Resolved by knowledge, meaning maybe your team has knowledge articles or documentation or whatever that you shared with the customer, or you gave them some information regarding a separate resource or whatever. But you didn't have to really do any work to do it. You just attached it to the ticket. That's resolved by knowledge. Resolved by vendor is the vendor had to get involved. Maybe they had to do an enhancement or whatever to fix the issue. Okay, so you just pick the one that's whatever you feel is most appropriate. We also have duplicate here. If you tend to get tickets for the same issue and you want to have them all be on one case, that's fine. You can just close the duplicate one out just by selecting duplicate and putting it in the notes. But basically, you're going to pick your code. If something was broken, well, then you probably would, it'd be nice to have a cause. Customers don't see the cause. It's just an internal thing. So if you have a quick statement, a couple of sentences of what caused the issue, that's helpful because it helps feed the AI in the system, and it'll also be helpful to other agents if they find, if they have a similar issue in the future and the system suggests, this particular case as an example of a possible solution. They can see what the cause is, and then they can also look at your resolution note too, which is my second point. Resolution notes are visible by the customer, so be mindful about what you put in there. We see some agents putting periods and dashes and just to kind of get through the requirement. You should always take the time to put a brief but pertinent resolution note, even if it's just, I fixed your problem, that I updated your account, whatever. Do it in layman's terms, but basically keep it short and sweet. And then we have this add resolution notes to comments box. We have it checked by default because if you uncheck it, the customer will not see the resolution. And if they can't see the resolution, they can't accept. They don't have anything to really accept. Like they're going to get, when you resolve a case, the customer is going to get an opportunity to either accept or reject your resolution. Okay. But if you don't have the resolution note in there, they're not going to know how you resolved it. So what do they have to really evaluate? So we had some customers complain about that. So we made this box checked by default. And generally, if we have anything in here, if you ever see a box checked by default in this system, you probably want to leave it checked. All right, there's very few instances where you'd want to uncheck this box.
Chris, so time check for you. We're 25 minutes in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt. Doing pretty well. Okay. I have seen some agents who, they'll put the period or the dash here, and then they go and type a comment anyway. And or I've seen them do it in both places. Don't need to. Just do it once here. Leave that checked, and when you resolve your issue, you can just hit resolve. And it's going to throw those resolution notes in as a comment too. So anybody who was on the watch list, or work notes list will get that comment as well. Yeah. Okay. So now that this has been resolved, we'll go back to the customer. There it is right at the top. Okay, so now they're normally on their actions button, they would have the option to close. They can basically cancel a case at any point as long as it's not in a resolved state. But once it's in a resolved state, they get two choices: accept or reject. If they reject the solution, they're going to be prompted to put in a comment explaining why they're rejecting it, and then at which point the ticket will immediately go back into an open state, and the needs attention flag will get fired. And you'll have to deal with it at that point. But if they accept the solution, the ticket will immediately close. Okay. If they do nothing, the ticket will stay open for 2 calendar days. Right. So if they opened it on if it was resolved on a Monday, by Wednesday it'll be closed. Okay. So you can just let the clock run out on that. It's a courtesy we give to customers, basically giving them an opportunity to review what you've done on the case and, give us a yay or nay, that they agree that the problem's been solved, that the issue's been addressed, or the task has been done. Okay. If you get a verbal from a customer, and you don't need to wait, and they don't want to, they're not in a position to log into the portal or whatever, you can certainly close. You can certainly close the case on your own, but again, you're going to need that resolution information in there. But one thing to keep in mind though: once a case is closed, it cannot be reopened by anybody, even by us. Okay, as admins in the system. So, really make sure you have everything you need in there before you go that route. Okay. The only option you have at that point, if a customer accidentally closes a case or it got closed too soon, you need to continue work on it. You basically open a new case and you can refer to the original case in the parent field. That's up here, right next to the number of the case. And you can put a different case number in there. Okay, and then that'll kind of link them together, but that original case can't be reopened in any way. So you just kind of pick things up where you left off with that. All right. Okay, went through all that. All right, so we also did a survey not too long ago, and thank you to everyone who responded. We got some things out of that. One was so a lot of people were wondering how you search for cases in the system. Okay, so if you know the case number you're looking for, you can, like, say I had somebody texted me on Teams or whatever with this case number. You can just come up to the global search and put that number in there, and it'll find it. But if you do like a partial you're not going to get any results. If you try to do a keyword search, it's not going to find any cases. It might find some incidents or anything out there, but it's just because of the way the system is set up, it's not going to search the case table. We're in the process of, there's another application that we need to be added to this list, the customer service management has to be added to this list. And then you would switch to that, and then you can search for cases. All right, so the global search can really only be used if you know the number of the case. But there's other ways, there's plenty of other ways, actually better ways that you can find case records. Okay, and one of them is the overview pane. If it's, you know, if you're talking about cases that are assigned to, active cases that are assigned to your team, you know, probably the quickest way to get a list of those is here on the overview panes. And you know, we have 3 panes. The first one is stuff that's assigned to you specifically. The second one is stuff that's assigned to your teams. And then the third one is stuff that you're on the watch list or work notes list for, okay, that you're watching, okay? So if you had a new ticket come in, you can just come in here and, you know, click the number and it would open up. If there's more than 5 tickets in the list, you know, you're gonna get this view all button. So you just click that and it's gonna give you a table view, you know, and you can do some manipulation in here. You know, you can edit columns. So if you want to add additional columns or remove them, you can do that. If you want to move them around, you can. The only downfall doing it this way is, you know, once you close this tab, all your changes to the you know, the view are going to go away. You know, they're going to reset back to the defaults. So you know, if you're doing a quick and dirty search, you know, you're just trying to look for things that, you know, are new. Let's say you can, you know, show matching. You want to pare down that list just so you can quickly go to something, you know, that's fine. That's what the overview panes are meant for. But if you have regular searches that you do when you're looking for very specific things, your best bet is to use a My List to get there. Okay. So again, this is a refresher. The My List. If you come to this little pancake on the side here, there are canned lists out there, broken up by record type. And you can, you know, you can certainly click on those. It's a good way to get started, or just to get a quick view. But then you can take those, and if you find one that's close to what you need, you can come up here to the gear, hit Save As, and it will you know, rename it, right? And then what it'll do is when you click Save, it's going to add it to your My List area. So your My List are your personal reports that you can you know, you can manipulate however you want. And once it's in your My List area, now you can go back in and, you know, edit it however you like. You can add columns, move them around. You can change the filtering, sorting, all that stuff. Okay. A couple of, you know, we had a KB article I put out a while back about handy My Lists. Okay. I updated that today. I added a couple specifically for case. One is blockers by case, so I'll show you a list of blockers grouped by case number. And then the other one is cases by action status, and that's going to help you see how a case is blocked or if it needs attention. Okay, so I have those in here. We go back to the My List area, blockers by case. Okay, so we see here, this is the parent case number. This is the task under that case. All right, and you know, that needs to be completed. Same thing here. These are the 2 tasks that need to be completed. Okay. And then cases by action status. So here I know blocked internally. So right away, if I see blocked internally, that probably means there's an internal record, like it's either a request or an incident or a case task that's assigned to either your team or another team, you know, that's preventing that case from being resolved or closed. Blocked by customer means the request info button was used, and we're waiting on information from the customer. And then the needs attention flag, you know, means that, you know, somebody else has made a change to the ticket and it's waiting for you to acknowledge that change. Okay, and I have them sorted so that the most recent update is always at the top of the subgroup here, you know, so that new stuff will always be at the top. And then it also has there are some out there that don't have any action status, and, you know, those are just regular tickets. Those would just be sorted by last update. But, you know, you've already probably been dealing with those. Okay, so just a couple of things we thought would be helpful to agents. If you start to work with cases more, we are seeing the majority of teams using cases as the predominant record right now. So we felt it was time to kind of do more case focused stuff, this training. Okay. What else? Other resources. So I said we had a document about this whole training. It's this one, Key Moments in the Life of a ServiceNow Case. I admit it's a clunker. It's a real long read, but there's a lot of useful information in here. It was designed for agents that already have some experience working with cases, or at least working with ServiceNow. But for those of you who are a little less familiar with the platform, we have links throughout in these gold areas to previous KB articles, like smaller KB articles about specific things. And you can certainly welcome to look at those as well. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have as soon as we have the recording for this video, I'm going to make another KB that has the link to the video, has a link to this KB, and all the supporting KBs that we have. Jamie's done some nice ones for us. So you'll have all that information in one spot, and because you're an attendee today, we'll message out to you, when that link is available. So just look out in your inbox for that. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have to show you for today. So I guess we can open it up to questions if anyone has any.
I have a question. This is Denise. And last week we talked about a couple tickets I had that auto closed within 2 calendar days. And I know you talked about it a few minutes ago. And it's fine if it auto closes on a Monday, then you've got Tuesday and Wednesday where the case is still, you can still get back into it.
Right.
But this past weekend, there was a ticket that was resolved on Thursday, and then it auto closed on Saturday.
Right.
So is there a way to extend that so it is business days?
So
there was one that closed on Friday, or resolved on Friday, and then auto closed on Sunday.
Right. So it is possible to have them evaluate based on business day rather than calendar day. And so we have a story out there with our development team to look into that. There's a couple of ways to do it. One way is very quick and dirty, and it would suit most cases. But if we have like a holiday schedule or an unplanned closure of the building or anything, it's not going to help you there. Okay, so there's another more involved method that involves a schedule, where we can actually put a schedule into the system and say these are the days that we are in business and open for business, and it'll close records based on that schedule rather than just the fall of whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Okay, so but generally the logic that we're looking at is if it's closed on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, then the normal 2 calendar days is fine. But if it closes, if it's going to auto close on a Saturday or Sunday, it should defer until a Monday or Tuesday, depending on where it lives. If it closes on a Friday too, it should auto close the following week and not count the or at least just extend that window, right? So that including the weekend.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. That was an excellent point too. I'm glad you brought that up. Anybody else? Okay, well, I'll remind you guys, we have had an uptick in visits to our open support forum, and it's basically the link to this space here, which is great. We love hearing from you guys in person and talking about how you use the system and how we can help you use it better. So I would encourage anyone who has any questions at any point, please come into the space. It's really no bother. If we are in a meeting or something, usually one of us can break off and help you out. If we can't, we'll tell you that, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If that's not convenient for you, you can always send us an email at esm@neric.org, or reach out to one of the team members in WebEx Teams, and we can we'll certainly do everything we can to get you the information you need. just keep in mind, we can't always solve everybody's problems. But, we do appreciate the feedback, and we try to make that a part of all the decisions we make in this platform. So again, we strongly encourage you to come and talk to us.